Yes, good evening. Excellency, Yusuf Tugar, dear Ambassador of the Republic of Nigeria, thank you very much for those beautiful words and moving speech. Thank you very much. Dear Andreas Walter, Mayor of the City of Cologne, dear Stefan Charles, who had to leave earlier this evening, but nevertheless I would like to greet him, Head of Culture for the City of Cologne, dear Professor, Dr. Pedro Laiwola, art historian, artist, granddaughter of King Akinzua II of Benin, member of the advisory board of the Benin Royal Museum, and also patron of this ongoing project, I Miss You, what we start today. Dear team of the Goudestad Museum, dear Samuel Egarewa, chairman of Edo United Cologne, dear Eli Abeke, chairman of Bündnis 14 Afrika, dear Rajab Jiri, moderator of this evening. Dear ladies and gentlemen, and particularly those from the Nigerian diaspora and from the Edo State. It's my pleasure to welcome you all here tonight to the kick-off I Miss You, on missing, giving back, and remembering. I must admit I'm very moved by the kind and wise words of the Prince Erejua, brother of the King. It was a surprise that he sent us this video greeting just a couple of minutes before the opening, and although Prince Erejua is not here in the room, his presence is here, definitely here. I Miss You is the second exhibition where our entire collection of the 96 so-called Benin bronzes are on display. First, it was in the exhibition Resist, the Art of Resistance, that it was for the first time that we showed the entire collection. Previously, only 3 of the 96 Benin artworks were on display in the permanent exhibition. In Resist, which took place, this exhibition in 2021, where there was a specific space, the so-called space Benin 1897, and which was curated by my friend, Professor Dr. Pijulo. The works were shown in their museum condition. That is, as they were stored in the museum depot. You can see now on the first floor in our exhibition, I Miss You, at this moment, 3 empty showcases of Resist in the show. So I Miss You is an ongoing project. Here in I Miss You, we show those works in a totally different way. Here they are staged in their special individuality. And we show here not only their incredible beauty, and this has to be said, but our aim is also to touch the visitors and to remind them also of the pain, the loss, and the sorrow that are connected with them. They are like 96 museum altars, works placed on shrines in an attempt to give them back their dignity. The works we see here in the exhibition are fragments of local and global, forgotten, repressed, and intertwined events about which there is only fragmentary knowledge. For many Europeans, these things are museum objects that lie in the depots or in the showcase and accompanied by labels and accession numbers. But for many people from the African continent to whom this cultural heritage belongs, those works hide much more. They are filled with spirituality, but they also contain a very painful history. Sometimes it might even be painful to come and see these objects in our museum, in showcases, labeled and accompanied by text written by Western experts. That is our job of the museum, to deal also with such feelings and to find new ways of showing, narrating, and giving back and remembering. But what is this painful history? During the heydays of colonial wars on the African continent at the end of the 19th century, when Europe was trying to subjugate the people of Africa, these 96 Benin court artworks were violently stolen along with thousands of others from the palace of the Kingdom of Benin by British soldiers. The Benin massacre took place in 1897. Although many have known this story for a long time, the impact of this massacre is often underestimated. So these restitution debates are not just about ownership, about just returning, a physical returning of artifacts, ethnographica. No, it is about much more, much more. It is also about fractured memories, about colonial phantom pains and traumas caused by the colonial legacies of devastation and dispossession and passed down through generations. As a result of this, the museum has the task, the obligation of retelling this traumatic history of colonialism, Europe, but by the people directly affected by it. These 96 artworks, plundered with other thousands of works, represent this long, painful history. That is why the role of Professor Dr. Pedro Laiwola is essential, crucial in the development of this exhibition, of this long-term project, I Miss You. That is why it is crucial that the Routenstrauch-Joosmuseum opens its doors further to the African diaspora, much more further, here in Germany, here in the city of Cologne, because it is your history. Because the trauma also affects those born long after Nigeria's independence from colonial power Britain in 1960, both in Nigeria and in the diaspora in Germany and here in Cologne. And above all this, it concerns all people of African descent. I Miss You becomes also, or I would wish that I Miss You becomes a platform for mourning, for an ongoing and never-ending process of healing colonial rifts in our society. For me as director of the RJM, Routenstrauch-Joosmuseum, it is extremely important that we stop finding arguments against this restitution, that we still try to find reasons why it should be returned at all, that we stop not acknowledging this pain. Let's as museum show solidarity, sincere solidarity. Let's listen. Let's not be constantly in defense or reduce all this to guilt. Let us look at the restitution positively as an intent on the way to healing. And that is our responsibility. That is the responsibility of Europe, of European Museum, of the Routenstrauch-Joosmuseum. Let us European museums see these restitution processes and property transfers as positive processes, as museums need to find new ways to make these places actually really places for a post-migrant society. Before I give the floor to Pedro, my dearest friend, also professor and doctor, I would like to thank my curatorial team and of course, at first et al, Pedro, because without you, Pedro, I wouldn't have done all this. I wouldn't have noticed this pain, those artworks, their beauty, and thanks to our 20 years of friendship, I miss you. I would like to thank Vera Marucic, she's over there, friend, colleague, since long years, and Vera Marucic, before before I was in Cologne, before 2019, from 2015, 2018, I was in Saxony, and I was in charge, director of the museums in Dresden, Leipzig, and Herrnhut, and there we started our battle for restitution. Before in Paris, but now in Germany, and I think very much Vera Marucic, who works and conceives every day, every single hour of her day, of her week, in order to this return become really true. I would like to thank a wonderful conservator. I would like also to have her like a friend and colleague, Christina Hopp. Christina Hopp is a wonderful conservator, restaurator, and every single object, every single artwork she put in one of those 96 showcases. Every object has been mounted. She really cared for this, a lot of weeks, months. And then I would like to thank Hartmut Litzinger, my beloved Leitner. Well, when you see on the first floor this exhibition, he gave light, he gave life to those objects. And that is interesting because he is a lighter for theater, for stage design. And they are used to lighten living entities.